lot of people today, and I've heard podcasts with people speaking. One person will write one part and then send it to their songwriting partner or another bandmate to add another part. And it's really cool how people do stuff like that. I guess it started during the pandemic, and it's just a way to spread creativity without being in the same room as the people you're working with. So it's kind of interesting how creativity grows. I'm not going to speak about artificial intelligence because I don't really fear that. I don't think it's a real thing. I think it's something that's been in science fiction for the last almost 200 years. People have been speaking about stuff like that. The only thing I would say is that the way the show American Gods presented technology was kind of interesting as like a new religion. That's a relevant point of exploration that people will look at 50 years from now. Man, those people that got cell phones when they first came out, they got fucked up. Like I can see people looking back and making documentaries 50 years from now about all the side effects of relying on technology and and stuff like that. It's not so much the AI thing. I think AI is just another way to fearmonger that it's a part of the corporate culture now, and it's probably more helpful than anything. But let me talk about the song before I really start rambling. I'm already, what, 5 minutes into this. It's another funk song. This is track number 5. Yesterday, I did track number 1, which was Anyone and Everyone, which had elements of funk. I've already done song number 2, which is Zombie, which is more like an Afrobeat influenced and inspired by Fela Kuti. The third track on this album is called West Coast Time, which I talked about already in another post. It's a club song, but I'm not sure how I would really do this. If I was going to record this myself, I don't know how I would do it as a club song, so maybe I would have to do it as a acoustic ballad or change it completely. I'm not sure yet, but the song is there. It could be either. And then song 4 is Lost and Found, which I've already discussed. It's inspired by Kathleen Edwards, that type of Americana, country, laid back, folky stuff. So, yeah, this song is all over the place. This album, The Humboldt Trip, it's all over the place. And leading into track number 5, the one I'm talking about today, the title is Something Going On in My Head, question mark. Something going on in my head. And immediately when I wrote this, I heard Stevie Wonder and specifically Sir Duke, I think is what it's called, right? Sir Duke. Let me make sure I don't want to give the wrong information. Yeah, Sir Duke, which has just an amazing type of horn hook. I love the horns on that song. 88.5 in Philadelphia. I don't know if they do it anymore. They used to do Funky Friday or something like that. And usually they would play this song every Friday, and it's usually towards the end of the workday when I used to work in a warehouse, and it always just brought up the mood. And it's a great song, Sir Duke. So the song I'm talking about today, it's very influenced by Stevie Wonder type of funky 70s stuff. And I also said Silk Sonic because I wanted to include a modern band that does funk music, and they were the ones I thought of right off the bat. And I don't really know their album too well. I listened to it once years ago when it first came out. It's Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, who I don't really know a lot about either of them really, just their radio songs. But they have a couple of really catchy songs that very enjoyable modern funk music that goes back in time a little. And that's basically where this song musically is headed. I think it's more inspired by Stevie Wonder than anything else, but it's that type of groove that's just kind of spacey, kind of more psychedelic funk, maybe like Parliament stuff. And I don't really know what the lyrics are pertaining to in this song, but I think it's just about trying to gain some clarity, which is an ongoing struggle internally to gain clarity, to gain direction, to gain that social, or not social, but that self awareness and that, well, social awareness to be who you really are. Like, I think people go through identity crises a lot throughout their lives because it's just natural to structure your life in a certain way. And if you're not going on a certain path, people look at you differently or you look at yourself differently. Most of the time, it's your own self criticism because people don't give a shit. They just want to eat and watch some stuff on TV and, you know, have a normal life, I guess. So most people don't really give a shit and they're not very judgmental. They just want people to stay out of their business. So a lot of it is self criticism is the worst type of criticism. It's probably why people don't read the comments. I hear a lot of people say that famous people, influencers, they don't really read the comment sections because it's just full of fake people. And maybe this is kind of connected to that as well. I guess let me go through it now. I'll sing it the best I can, which I always say. When I was looking or watching my old videos today from on YouTube, and you could still go check them out. They're still on my YouTube channel. I say that all the time. Like you have to picture somebody else singing this. And it's because I write so many different types of genres and a lot of these don't fit my voice or I'm not comfortable projecting my voice as a funk singer or a heavy metal singer or a rapper. They're just types of stuff that's very specific to certain voices or a crooner. Like, you can't do it all. Maybe some people can. What's the dude's name from what, Faith No More? Is that the dude? Or one of those bands? I forget his name. Something Patton. I forget his name. I think his name is just Mike Patton. Yeah, it was Faith No More. He's one of the people who could probably sing any type of music. He's just a special character, man. I never got into Mr. Bungle, but people always talk about that. But this is according to Google, best known for Faith No More, but he has a 6-octave range, which I guess is amazing. I don't really know. And he could do rock, opera, jazz, death growls. So he's the guy I think of when I consider a vocalist who can do any kind of music. And it's a very rare type of thing because you have to be believable, right? Like people wouldn't have respected Eminem unless he had real credibility as a white rapper, or people wouldn't have respected, I don't know, like David Bowie always transformed himself into different types of characters. I don't know. I guess performing arts is not something I ever tried or studied. So it's kind of foreign to me how to create a persona to be able to perform songs like this. But it's just about having balls, I guess, to just say fuck it and just go out and do it. That's really what it comes down to is just have no fear. And it's probably something you have to work on for a long time to get really comfortable in front of people. But I spoke about this, I think, yesterday too. I was even planning to go do a spoken word poetry thing last week, someplace in Princeton, but I'm like, I don't feel like driving. And it would have been an uncomfortable situation to go do something like that by myself, especially. Or it would have been cool because I'm like the mysterious loner. Who's this guy? But yeah, it was something I do, want to try at some point. I was going to play some music and in the background and just do spoken word type of poetry stuff with some of the stuff I've wrote over the last couple months, but maybe something in the future to think about. Let me get to this song. It's called Something Going On in My Head. It's very funk inspired by Stevie Wonder in the 70s and that type of stuff. And I'll try to sing the verses now to give you a flavor of how this goes. Verse 1. Feeling like I'm feeling because there's something going on in my head. Desertion on a whim, looking grim with the audience band. Social conscious piss keeps them on the list. And that's where I get the. In my head, I hear the Sir Duke. Dun, 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 dun. But of course, I would have to come up with something completely different, so I'm not going to try to steal from Stevie Wonder. So after that last line on the verse, and every verse after this, the social conscious piss keeps them on the list. Dun, 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 dun. Just come up with some funky groove that I could try to mimic something now, but it would be improvised because I hear horns, I hear like kind of funky bass lines, and maybe the only thing I don't hear is how the drums will go, but I hear like the funky groove, and maybe it's even influenced by like a Herbie Hancock type of 80s synth sound, but I don't know yet. And after that short little transition, you go into verse 2. Tension undercover, Mac the knife frames the audience shrill. Dump, 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 bump, bump, dump. Suited for the sin or pilgrimage to develop the thrill. Dump, 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 bump, bump, dump. Justified belief feeds them to the beast. Like, I even hear the bass line of like superstitious in this. So I have to be careful not to go too far into the Stevie Wonder catalog, especially like his two most known songs ever, probably Sir Duke and like Superstitious. Everyone knows those bass lines and everything. But like the Fela Kuti song, this one is very much a Stevie Wonder 70s funky groove that I can't deny. That's where it's coming from. I still think Inner Visions is probably like seriously my top 10 albums of all time. I really fell in love with Inner Visions in 2020, 2021. I would listen to it like maybe once a week. It just has, I don't know, interesting, unique type of appeal. I don't really know how to explain it, but Songs in the Key of Life, I've heard at least 2 or 3 times all the way through. And the other one, Fulfillingness, I don't really know that one. So I'm not a Stevie Wonder expert, but I do enjoy his sound and his talent. After that, Justified belief feeds them to the beast. You would do another like breakdown of some kind of transition. Bump, ba dum da bump, bump, ba dum da bump, with some horns and just get real funky with it. Then you go into the hook from there. The story, just like a 4-leaf clover, flowing over and over and over and over. And you could go into some instrumental break after the hook. I feel like I always say the same things, but maybe you could go up a key or to do like a modulation on this. Not sure if it would work, but it's something that I think would work and would possibly work in a song like this that's very funky and free. It's very open, I think. There's a lot of room to just jam, which is always good when you're writing a song like this. One of the albums I wrote 4 months ago was all funk songs, which I don't even remember what I called it, but it was really weird. I just started writing funk songs like every night, and it came out in like a week, maybe even quicker than that. I have to revisit it because it's been a while. I don't even remember what it's called. But yeah, there is a funk part of me that I really like funk music. Like, how can you not like it? Anyone would like funk music. It might be the most universal type of music because there's just no pretentiousness to it. There's no really politics to it. There's no cultural divide. It's just all about, at least what I interpret. It's about bringing people together because we're all just weird fucking alien people. We're all just fucking monkey brained aliens from some distant galaxy or whatever the fuck. So that's kind of what I think of funk music. It just puts you in a happy mood, and it kind of bridges all these divides that maybe other music doesn't have the ability to do. And it's not even the fault of the genre. Like, people connect country music to white rural people down south, or I don't know, on some mountain range. People connect rap music to like black people in the inner city, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's what it is. Like that's truthfully what the genre represents demographically. Doesn't mean other people don't appreciate it, but when it comes to funk music, I think it's just like universal. It's weird. I don't think it's, even though maybe in the 70s it was mostly black artists doing funk, the majority of it came from some African American roots, probably. I don't know a lot about it. Who really started funk? Was it James Brown stuff? But I feel like that type of music just brings people together because it's so much fun to listen to. Like, you just want to strut down the street, and it's probably the best music to listen to if you're just walking. Put on Cool and the Gang or Parliament, or even like the Philadelphia sound stuff from the 70s. It's just the Harold Melvin. That's kind of funky too. So it's weird. It's a genre that I don't know like a ton about, but I do enjoy it. And from time to time, I just want to devour funk music. So I don't know. Don't ask me. It's just fun, dude. It's just fun. I wrote it in the first song. The, the hook I had when I was giving platelets, it was the funk's fault, everybody. And that's kind of what I feel like funk music is. It's just, it represents like the entire human race, that we're all crazy fucking people. And that's a good thing. That's like a positive thing. It could bring people together in that type of mindset. Yeah, there's really no pretentiousness. That's what it is. I think the reason funk music brings about just this very, I don't know what the word is, I guess just non-pretentious, almost whimsical type of like fantasy land, because I'm just thinking of Parliament, Funkadelic, and all the stuff I've heard from them, and it's just fun alien music. Like, it's so weird in a good way. And I don't know if Stevie Wonder really hits the weirdness level, but sometimes some of his songs do transport you to a different place because it's just so musically, well, there's a complicated nature to a lot of Stevie Wonder stuff, but it's also just universally accessible because it's just pleasing. It's the melodies just fit perfectly. And this is verse 3. I don't feel like talking for 40 minutes. Right now I'm at 24 minutes, so I'll try to keep this to 30 minutes today. Verse 3, it's the same type of feel as the other two verses. Dreaming through the ceiling, every word flips the audience cold. Praying for release, innocence, not a function consoled. Artistic dignity or escaped integrity. Like, that sounds so much like some Stevie Wonder thing. I hope I'm not stealing that melody. But I don't think so. I just think a lot of funk music can kind of sound the same sometimes. And I don't know. It sounds like something, but I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely Stevie Wonder inspired, but maybe I'll realize it later. I'll be listening to a Stevie Wonder song and I'm like, oh shit, that's where I got that from. I don't know. I don't think I'm outright stealing anything though. It's just how it came out. when I was thinking of this song at first. So you could probably go through the Silk Sonic album and notice stuff from old funk albums and stuff. So it's all good. People are just appreciating each other through that. There's a difference between outright theft and just like being inspired by someone. And I don't know where that line is because it's kind of complicated sometimes. The Vanilla Ice thing, dun 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 dun. Dun. I don't know. It's weird. But after that third verse, you could go into another horn instrumental, some kind of transition, and that would lead you back to the hook again. The story, just like a four-leaf clover, flowing over and over and over and over. That's when you need the Mike Patton, I guess, because he could do 6 octaves on that. And that's basically the whole song. I do say basically a lot. When I was watching my old videos today, I said the same thing. And I say basically a lot. That's basically the whole song. There's an outro again, which goes back to that repeating phrase that embrace that all clear, all right. Only this time it would be like a children's choir. Because I think that's like a very happy, poppy ending. If you have just a happy kids choir clapping along while they're singing, embrace that all clear, all right. Do 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 do. Embrace that all clear, all right. So you could come up with something like that. Lately, I've had the idea for a couple songs. There's something about a children's choir that just adds some whimsical, even more whimsical nature to it. Because people, it could be annoying, but it could also be like that innocent, bringing you back to your childhood where all that cynicism that festers inside of you now as an old fucker, it wasn't there when you were like 8 years old and you heard Vanilla Ice and you're like, wow, this is so cool. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. But, you don't get cynical when you're 8 years old. So the children's choir, maybe that's why it brings you back to that spirit of just enjoying whatever without judging something. Like, of course, as you get older, you're going to be more judgmental and more critical about music and media in general, about propaganda modes and stuff like that. Your brain is just going to be wired to be more cynical and less trusting of people. It's not a bad thing, but it could be an unattractive way to ingest music or movies if you're always so cynical about everything. So that's basically, I think, where my mind is about using a children's choir, and it just sounds cool sometimes. Embrace that all clear, all right. Embrace that all clear, all right. And this is like the third or fourth time I've used this melody, this phrase to end a song. So I need to make it different every time. And there's also another melody that's overlapping with that. So as the children's choir would sing, embrace that all clear, all right. Then the main vocalist would sing, shock through the heart, embrace that all clear, all trust from the boulder, embrace that all clear, a shock through the heart, embrace that all clear, trust from the boulder. So you could have a overlapping mix like that as the funky song just gets real crazy at the end and just crescendos to a crazy peak funk peak funk level. And I guess that's the whole song, yeah. I think this is the last fun song on this album because song 6 is more Black Sabbath, kind of Black Sabbathy, more kind of serious, I think. Song 7 is more of like a hardcore punk song that's actually inspired by the Sam Fender I song, which I heard a couple months ago for the first time. and it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, this song's amazing. And the closer on this is kind of a ballady Wilco song. So I'm going back to like the not country, but more of alternative country folky stuff. And yeah, this is the last like really fun song. And maybe I should have closed the album with this, but that's just how I think this album flows. It's like kind of like a movie, like I said before, it's playing out like a movie in my head. So this is like kind of the point where the character feels like everything's going his way. And then the third act of the movie is when all the shit hits the fan, and hopefully it's a happy resolution, which I think I've done this time. I thought Willie the Vegan was a happy ending because he kind of just escapes from his physical body and becomes some super consciousness out in the cosmos. Like maybe the stars and all that shit is just like your consciousness because it has to go somewhere. Whatever's inside of you is consciousness. Because all that hippie shit about star children and all that shit, stardust and all that crazy stuff. Maybe there's some spiritual basis for that from some kind of ancient tradition. It had to come from somewhere. It's like, I think about stuff like that. Even though the hippies probably had a lot of flawed arguments, their overall principle of the peace and love stuff, like, it's hard to argue against that. The problem is humanity as a global entity hasn't really evolved to that level where we can incorporate a philosophy that's based on the peace and love. I don't think we've reached that evolution because people seem to want conflict and they enjoy that stuff or something. I don't know. Like it's passed down as a tradition in a way. I don't know. It's flawed and I think it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I guess that's just where evolution continues in terms of just social consciousness and how to just live better lives and pass on a better tradition. Don't just hand down bullshit. Evolve your tradition to make sense. Don't rely on society to give credence to your tradition just because it's your tradition. Sometimes you have to evolve your tradition to have it make sense or it's just going to disappear. There's a lot. That's a long discussion with a lot of different worldviews because it's tough to have that conversation about the new versus the old because it's all blended in together. It really is. It's not a dualistic thing that's like it's either this or that. Everything gets blended and kind of mixed together in terms of politics and economics and whatever else, culture, art, everything, music. Music is the best example of that. Genres kind of come together like Rage Against the Machine did. So it's not really a bad thing to want to have conversations like that. Maybe that's what this song is also about. Like I'm reading the line, justify belief feeds them to the beast. Maybe that's what I kind of meant by that. That it's like if you keep justifying things like, oh, that's just how we are as human beings, but this is just how the world is. You just keep justifying shit like that. And people just believe that that's the way it is because that's the way it is. That's what they see on TV. That's how the older generation set up the world. And it just gets really convoluted like that. You justify bullshit. You justify bullshit over and over again until it sinks in and people just give up. And that part of it is kind of sad because that's worse than being cynical. It's like just not even paying attention anymore because it's pointless. I'm probably at that point for a lot of stuff just because there's a lack of transparency, a lack of information, and it's like it's pointless to try to understand stuff that you're not given the information to comprehend. whether it's religion or war or some economic tariff that I don't fucking understand, or some pandemic stuff back then that I didn't understand. I think I'm at the point where it's easier to just be ignorant about stuff. Is what's the point? You can't really affect things to a high degree, so you could call that being more nihilistic and cynical, but I think everyone goes through those phases when the shit gets really stupid. And that's kind of where I am. Maybe this song, even though it's such a happy, funky, upbeat type of atmosphere, it does kind of have that approach to, as George Carlin put it, just being an observer because humanity's so fucking crazy. And yeah, it's good and bad to be like that. I've spoken about this to death as well because it's like you don't want to even think about certain things, but then you write songs about it. Like in my case, I'll use that as a way to make art. And it's like, I don't even want to be part of the conversation though. And that's the reason I said yesterday, I just want to write ambient music because people can truly escape through ambient electronic music with no lyrics. You could have chanting and stuff like that to make it a little bit of a vocalization, but just no more words, man. I really want to get to that point where I just make ambient music, synthesizers or anything. People can make ambient with anything. So that's kind of where I envision myself writing music in the future. But right now I can't do that. I have to actually form actual song structures like I'm doing now because I still have this creativity that has to come out in some art form. And I guess I'll leave it there. I'm at 40 minutes. I don't think I rambled too badly, but this is all just coming out stream of consciousness. I don't have an outline of what I want to speak about. I just come up with a song and I'm like, all right, what does this remind me of? Oh, it's Stevie Wonder. Picture Stevie Wonder as I'm trying to sing this with my stupid voice. And that's kind of how I'm going about my songwriting right now. It's not new. I did this before back in the summertime, even when I had my acoustic guitar. I would write songs like this because I don't know if it was laziness back then or I just wanted to approach songwriting in a different scientific approach, I guess, or lack of scientific approach. Just let it be free flowing completely. That's what I think the ambient music would provide me more than anything else. Like, reminded of the John Hopkins music for psychedelic therapy, came out maybe 2021. Ambient artist from the UK. The story was that he just took all his instruments and went to a cave and either did field recordings or made ambient music in those settings. I'm not really sure how true that is. I think I was supposed to research this because I mentioned it before, but I think that's the story. And I think that's what ambient artists can do. They can just escape internally or go out in nature and just live in nature for a month away from society. And anyone can do that, but I feel like ambient artists have that luxury because making ambient music, it's almost like a declaration that you're done with commercial radio and the commercialization of, and I'm not criticizing it. I'm saying I'll criticize the over commercialization because I think that's a problem where art becomes too corporate driven and too profit driven and it becomes so derivative and so redundant and so focused on money and prestige and image. And it's not new. It's been around for a long time. I'm not going to be overly critical. People need to make money. It's a business to make people interested. It's all about sex and image. And if I say it's popular, influencers say it's popular, then it must be good. And I'm not going to be critical of that. But I feel like the reason I'm bringing this up is ambient artists. You're not going to hear ambient music on the radio. You're just not. It's not going to be on the radio unless you have Sirius or satellite radio and you're specifically tuning into ambient radio. If you tune into commercial radio, FM or AM or FM, what's AM? I don't even know anymore. You're not going to hear ambient stuff. The only exception will be like 88.5 or public funded radio, maybe WRTI in Philadelphia. They play jazz and classical. Maybe they'll sneak in some ambient stuff. But 88.5 used to have echoes, and all they played was ambient music, which was pretty cool. It got me into some artists like that. So I'm not going to say there's nothing on the radio. You can find certain programs that can fit that style if you really search for it. But I'm just talking about music that sells out the Billboard charts. You're not going to see ambient music on the Billboard charts. But that's a direction I want to go in because I feel like it's the most spiritual kind of music and the most healing. And it would take me a long time to immerse myself in that culture because even though I listen to a shit ton of it, I got a list of my favorite ambient artists on my AOTY profile, and it's over 300 albums at this point. And I'm always worried that I'm getting duped by artificial intelligence. Maybe it's just fake computerized ambient, because if there's any type of music that a computer could make easily, it would be ambient music or electronic music even. Artificial intelligence, they probably can't write like great pop songs. Well, I don't really know. Maybe they can at this point. Maybe they can. I really don't know. If you get a supercomputer and feed it every country song ever written, and then I'm sure it's been done. I just haven't done the research on this. And then ask the supercomputer, the artificial intelligence, to write a country song. I bet you it would be like an amazing country song. I'm just thinking it must be, right? Like the computer is just a brain. It's another brain. Does it have creativity? Can it feel emotions and provide emotional elements in a country song or any type of song? I don't know. I'm sure I could do some research and look up songs that artificial intelligence wrote or composed over the last few years, and I can make a decision for myself, I guess. But I don't know. I'm going way off topic here. I need to shut this down before I get too stupid with what I'm talking about. So that's song number 5. That song number 5 called Something Going On in My Head. So there's still something going on in my head. It's Stevie Wonder. All the credit goes to Stevie Wonder. All the thanks goes to Stevie Wonder, pretty much. And I think he's still making music. So yeah, you got to respect that. He's made some of the best albums of the last generation. So yeah, big respect. And the Silk Sonic, I'll have to listen to it more. That's really the only two artists that I'll share when I put this on Substack later. But that's all. Tomorrow, I'll continue this journey of the Humboldt trip. And song 6 is called Another Song About Cursed Apples. I'm not really sure. I need to revisit how this goes. I think it's really inspired by Black Sabbath. And it's kind of like a darker, waltzy type of song, but that's for tomorrow. Another song about cursed apples. Cursed or cursed. I don't know how people say that differently. Another song about cursed apples. Another song about cursed apples. However you say it, that's tomorrow's exploration. And I got 2 more songs after that to wrap up this new album. And that's basically the main thing I'm doing right now to finish this album and get it on Substack. I'm really procrastinating writing my March essay, but I started doing it. I just say I need to wrap it up and finish that before the end of the month. But other than that, I'll speak tomorrow again about the next track, and I'll finish it by Friday, hopefully. I should be able to finish it by Friday and wrap up this album. And I'm maybe a little bit more proud about the lyrics on this one It's very weird when I'm in that position where I told myself, I don't want to write any new songs. I don't want to write any new songs. And then I wrote Willie the Vegan, and I like the lyrics on that one. And then I told myself, I don't want to write any more albums. And then I wrote this one. And I really think the lyrics on this one are really good because I'm trying to write in different voices and sing in different voices. So I'm like, I'm a million different people from one day to the next. All right, that's all. I guess the last thing I would say is go listen to Stevie Wonder because if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, and I haven't even done it yet myself, I maybe know just two of his albums, and that's it. I don't know too many other ones, just Songs in the Key of Life and Inner Vision. So I need to do it myself. I made all these lists as well on like discographies I want to rank, and I'm currently trying to do Fela Kuti. I want to do Sun Ra and Pavement and some other ones. Maybe Stevie Wonder would be one that I have to go down to force myself to listen to every Stevie Wonder album because I really don't know that many. It's it's kind of funny that he's one of my favorite artists because I put Inner Visions in like my top 10 albums of all time, but I've never explored his other stuff to the same degree. I'll have to do that at some point. So if you're if you're new to Stevie Wonder or you don't know his 70s stuff, start there and just, well, start with his Motown stuff. I don't know, start wherever you want to start. But I'll end it here. That's all I really have to say about this track. It's a funky it's a funky song. It's just supposed to be fun, even though maybe some of the lyrics are a little bit more serious than usual funk songs. But with a funk song, you can still jam out to it and groove out and dance to it and be a freak. So it accomplishes what funk music is supposed to accomplish.